Hello everybody, have a knife to show you today. And so this knife right here, it actually comes from Bastion knives, but this one actually is a run that was designed by Cutlery Lover. And so if you don't know who Cutlery Lover is, you probably do if you're watching this video right now, but Cutlery Lover is one of the OG knife reviewers on YouTube. So I want to say it was probably him and maybe Nut and Fancy that kind of started the whole YouTube knife reviewing thing. And so he was one of the original video makers, still very active, still great videos, and he actually worked with Bastion knives to get some knives with his branding on them released. And so this one was a limited run that was released, and I picked up this knife because it has a really neat design, and number one, I wanted to support him. Neat design, number two. And number three, he was thinking of the average knife user when he had this knife designed. Because, of course, the materials on this knife are not really high-end, and that was kind of the point. You know, I think he wanted to get a knife that was at a low price point that everyone could afford, but also still a limited edition. So if you want to get in on it, you know, that would have been your option to do so. And so what we have right here, I think it's called the CLB1 folder. And this one is a very nice Persian style blade. You can see the logo really close right there, Cutlery Lover, and they're all serialized. So this is 157 out of 250. So I love the blade shape. That was really well done. And so this knife came in at about $30. And so $30 for an exclusive knife, you know, what are we getting here? So the blade steel is I believe it's a 5CR15 MOV. So it's not a high-end steel. And again, that was on purpose. You know, when he had Bastion make this knife, he wanted it to be available for the masses, you know, for anyone who wants to buy one to get one. And so that was his goal there. So we have our black G10 scales, 5CR steel liners, liner lock design, deep carry pocket clip. It's not reversible because, again, you know, keeping it low cost. And I love the shape of the knife. It's kind of this triangular shape, very interesting and very unique. And some things that they got really right making this knife. I mean, when you think of a cheap, inexpensive folder, I wouldn't assume this knife was inexpensive. Number one, look at the G10 on this knife. It's a smooth G10 scale, but it's also contoured. It's not flat. So you can see how it kind of contours around the handle, which makes it very nice to hold. You know, because generally when I think of inexpensive G10 scales, I think of something more like this, where you can see, like on this knife here, this is the Kaiser Domen. You can see these are just flat slabs of G10 they threw on there. Probably super easy to make, you know, very little effort to make these things, and they just slap them on. You know, so this is what I would expect from an inexpensive handle on a cheap knife. But the fact that we have these nice sculpted handles, nice and rounded off, that's really cool. So that's really cool. Knife opens very smoothly. We have the white plastic washers or Teflon washers, whatever you want to call them. There's the centering. It opens smoothly, you know. Those Teflon washers, they work just fine, you know. So it is very much a functional knife. The pocket clip is kind of wide, kind of a thick one if you look at it. It matches very nicely with the handle, so it's not going to be shiny and sticking out and looking out of place. And they kind of just matched it to the shape of the handle here. You can see that. And it is a deep carry clip, so no issues there. On the inside, there's no backspacer. You can see we just have two pillars, essentially, where we have the one on the rear and then the pivot itself. So it's very simple flow-through design. On the rear end here, we have his signature. So that is Cutlery Lover. That's his name, Jeff. I can't read that. But a really cool little knife. And I'm kind of very happy that he decided to release these knives. He's done a few runs of knives with Bastion before, I believe. This is one of them. And the other ones are kind of funky designs, so they didn't really, you know, float my boat, so to speak. But this one is a very much mainstream folder. It's very utilitarian. Really, the only downsides, you could really think about it. I mean, number one, the price. There are no downsides, but sometimes with these more inexpensive knives, when you get the satin finish, like they just pick up thumbprints and marks like crazy. And so on camera, it doesn't look quite as nice as it does in person. But that being said, that's really a small fault. That's not a big deal. Because once you wipe it down, that blade just shines. Do like his logo. And again, I'm appreciative that he's thinking about low cost limited edition knives, because no one has done that. You know, recently on YouTube, we've seen a lot of YouTube personalities, online personalities releasing knives. You know, a lot of these foreign manufacturers are reaching out because they want an in on the market. So YouTube people are generally a way to do that. So Nothing Fancy has limited run knives, and Cutlery Lover has limited run knives. And there are a few others as well who have come out with knives partnered with some of these Chinese OEMs. And what I'm glad is that he made the choice to make these knives affordable. So I appreciate that. So unfortunately, I apologize for not making this video sooner, because this knife is now sold out. It's sold through. So the 250 that they made are now gone from the Bastion website. It doesn't mean you can't get one. I mean, I'm sure they'll be on the secondary market. I mean, that being said, if you ever do find one on eBay or on forums or anywhere, I wouldn't pay, you know, much more than the asking cost, because, you know, the materials are what they are. It's meant to be a working knife, a knife that people can just enjoy and collect, not something that's a high-end piece that sits on your shelf all day and does nothing with it. So that being said, if you want one of these, I'm sure they're still available out there. Some people will be selling the ones they got. But it just really goes to show what you can get for 30 bucks, especially with the branded knife. Supporting your favorite YouTuber or your YouTubers you watch. We're probably going to see more of these pretty soon, I would predict, you know, because I'm betting that these sell very well. Not only this one, but the other ones as well. Often these runs, when they are made, they sell out and they're gone, and then people want them, and there's always more outcry for more. And so that being said, weight on this knife for an EDC knife, just perfect. It's at 3.5 ounces, 3.5 ounces, just as advertised. So I always appreciate that when we get an accurate advertised weight. But really, I can't find too many flaws with this knife. Maybe the pocket clip doesn't float your boat, perhaps. But these G10 handles are really well done. So really love those. The liner lock, perfectly functional. Lockup is fine, no issues there. Deployment is quick with these thumb studs. You know, so there were a lot of corners cut on this knife, but nothing that would really, in my opinion, detract from your ownership of the blade. So really cool knife, not only to collect and use, but to support one of your YouTubers. So really glad to see this come out. If you have any questions on it, let me know. But again, I think he made his own video on this knife, and probably several of them, to be honest. I just wanted to make this kind of as a follow-up and as a thank you. So if he ever does see this, just thanks for coming out with this knife. Thanks for reaching out and producing something that is not $400, $300, something that everyone who watches this video can afford. You know, and that's what I see a lot of people asking for in comments, are things that are affordable. And not many people are reaching for that market right now, but the fact that he did is really, really cool. So good for him. So thank you all for watching. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.